Next comes the plague of wild beasts. Imagine, if you will, that all the animals of the world, including timid animals that would not normally come near a person for any reason, one day all united with a common purpose to not only attack, but cooperate with each other to attack an entire nation of people. Imagine the ecology of each animal, whether it was acclimated to hot or cold regions, literally following that animal around wherever it roamed in the siege. This would be the nature of the fourth plague. This time Paro got a day's warning and was once again confronted by Moshe while seeing to his bodily needs in the early hours of the morning in the Nile. Moshe told Paro that animals from great distances would descend on Mitzrayim in the following day. Again, Paro dismissed his warning, and after the conversation had a bodily misfunction which drew out rats that began biting him, causing him to let out a loud scream. This alerted nearby citizens who saw their king, who proclaimed to be a god, fending off rodents from biting a portion of his intestines. Ow. Later that morning, most of the animals that had travelled a great distance assembled near Goshen and stood in front of Moshe, who was waiting for them. The animals supernaturally converged from every corner of the world, some from tropical rainforests and some from frosty polar regions, all moving side by side with no leader, all of them marching in unison to fulfill a divine decree. They moved together on an invisible impulse. Lions, bears, leopards, panthers, hyenas, wolves, pigs, donkeys, oxen, kangaroos, foxes, wild goats, cats, hedgehogs, along with weasels, lizards, turtles, snakes, scorpions, leeches, worms and eagles, ravens, owls, pelicans, ostriches, and every bird of prey flying overhead. The sound of the animals arriving was like the noise of a great army moving into battle. Insects like flies, mosquitoes, bees, hornets were also in tow, as were all amphibious animals, with frogs making another cameo. There were also very dangerous animals that existed at that time, which are all but extinct today, that eagerly joined the invasion. Once the attack was underway, smaller animals like flies and hornets and bees and mosquitoes hit first, flying into the faces of the Mitzrites, immobilizing them for the larger animals to take down. Snakes and scorpions got under doors and through cracks to get to people who had barricaded themselves in enclosed dwellings. Elephants and rhinos trampled fields and knocked down walls and pillars. A giant octopus also emerged from the river, slithering onto the land and moving from house to house, using its great tentacles to unlatch locked doors from the inside. Birds harassed people in fortified towers, flying in through windows, causing some of them to jump to their deaths. The animals settled in Mitzrayim like it was their home. When some animals slept at night, nocturnal animals commenced their assault, giving the Mitzrites no rest whatsoever. At every opportunity, there would be no lack of an animal that would maul a Mitzrite, but at the same time completely ignore a Hebrew. If someone fled into the Nile, piranhas would strip them of their flesh within minutes. This plague was measure for measure retribution against the Mitzrites, who caused the Hebrews to hunt with inadequate weapons, look after their exotic pets, which were usually dangerous lions and poisonous snakes, or use the Hebrews as sport, pitting them against aggressive animals in arena-style exhibitions. Truly, this was a time that every Mitzrite had wished that he'd never lived to see. As a result, many committed suicide. Paro's palace was the first site of the onslaught, and realization began to sink into Paro's mind that he could not continue to ignore Moshe and Aaron forever. The only choice he had was to send a Hebrew employee from his palace to summon Moshe and Aaron and attempt another negotiation. Paro began to see Hashem as being so powerful that his presence was indeed everywhere and at all times, and figured, why does the nation of Israel even have to leave? I'll let them worship him right here in my land. But Moshe insisted that the entire nation of Israel leave for 3 days. Paro would agree just long enough to convince Moshe to remove the animals, but after they left, he changed his mind. If you like the content of this channel, get a hold of this book. It is literally jam-packed with information you will not find in most Torah publications. Its pages include topics like the fable of the money-hungry Jew, the lie that propelled the Holocaust, the real root of anti-Semitism, rightly dividing Mashiach, which contains startling truths about the Messiah you will not read anywhere else, Judaism in the New Testament, updated information about the creation of the Golem and the false Messiah, the commandment to wage war, the truth about the Shield of David, a compendium of all the false teachings in the Messianic movement to help you navigate what is truth, biblical capital punishment, and why you should be frightened of sinning, the significance of the land of Israel, the obligations of the student, the eye in the triangle, sanctified sex, how to think like a Jew, and much, much more. There is also an updated chapter 1, and along with all the other chapters, has hundreds of footnotes and references. This is a book that took 10 years to research and compile, and will be a welcome addition to the library of any discerning student of Torah and Mashiach. Get it today on Amazon and other online bookstores. Bye for now.